name's Amanda from My Office Books. I'm coming live from the BMW and Mini workshop in their coffee shop area. So I was hoping to talk to you today about what do you do when you're years behind in paperwork. Now, you know what it's like. You've been busy all year, working really hard to build your business. And the last thing you thought about was actually doing the bookkeeping. So how do you start? The first thing you need to do is gather together every single bank statement, credit card and receipt that you can find. Now that might not be an easy task. I remember one of my clients, he had to go through his ute, through his boot, he had to go into his glove compartment, into the inside of the house, and even as far as going into the toy box of the kids to grab each and every receipt. Now, this is very taxing, but it's absolutely necessary because it's going to ensure that you can claim every single legitimate deduction you can. It's really important. So what do you do after you've gathered together every single bank statement, every single receipt? You grab a whole heap of manila folders, you put the year on it and also then the month, and then you start organizing all your receipts into those folders. Now it might seem again like a tedious task, but it's one that you need to start doing. It gives you a beginning so that you can work out from say 2016 of July right through to June. And then you do it again for 2017 of July right through to 2018 June. Now that's 2 years of dockets and statements all together and collated into those folders. Now at this point you have a choice. You can either go ahead and grab your Excel spreadsheet and organize columns. So you'll put down like the date, who the supplier was or the customer was. You'll put the amount, whether it's an income, or you might actually put expenses, and you'll break the expenses on the top of your Excel spreadsheet, such as maybe advertising, marketing, motor vehicle costs, such as fuel, registration, insurance. And you just keep breaking up the categories accordingly. And then you're going to grab July's folder, and then you're going to look at your statement and look at receipts that you have and enter all that information in. Now this is a long process again, but it's well worth the effort because at the end you're going to have a spreadsheet that you can give to your accountant with all the documentation there for him to be able to do your tax. Alternatively, if you find you've got a heap of items, then you're probably better off contacting somebody like myself or maybe a bookkeeper in the area. You can have a look in the local white pages, the yellow pages, or you can Google online. And normally you can find a BAS agent, and let me emphasize a BAS agent because there are a lot of cheap people out there who might be less each hour, but you need to have somebody that's qualified, somebody that understands GST law, and also somebody who understands what you can claim as a business owner and what you can't. So you look them up and you give them your folders organized in their months and also with all the receipts and statements. Now this is going to save you a lot of money because they wouldn't have had to do this, and also it's going to let you know what avenue is going to be best, whether you go with the Excel spreadsheet or whether you need to get some help. Now, from this point, what happens with a bookkeeper? Well, a good bookkeeper is going to ask you a lot of different questions. They're going to find out more about your business. They're going to want to know what it is that you need from them. And what I'm going to suggest to you is make sure you're accessible, that you're willing to listen and answer questions, because a bookkeeper can only be as good as your communication skills. So if they ask you a question, don't get irritated by it. Understand that they're trying to do the best for you and they have your best interests at heart. So make sure you're open-minded and that you're willing to be able to answer any queries, whether they seem silly or not. Because at the end of the day, you want something that's really accurate. Let me give an example. One of my staff was given somebody's work and she had told me in great detail what it is that she wanted doing. However, when we started sending emails and asking the client about certain deductions, they weren't willing to communicate back, or they'd say, just look at the dockets, I gave you the receipts, just look at those. Sadly, because as BAS agents we have to err on the side of caution, we end up, to make sure we met the deadline requirements, my staff member made everything non-GST that the client refused to answer. Now this meant that when they got the books, they weren't necessarily very happy because they found that there was GST credits that they weren't able to claim and they had to change. So this is why it's really very important, imperative of you as a client to ensure that you are, one, accessible by phone, or two, if email's better, make sure you respond. What happens after this point? Well, after this point, the bookkeeper will put everything together nice and neatly into an online accounting package, and then this will be able to be shared as a user with your accountant. Now the process with this, once everything's been reconciled to the bank statements, and let me just go back and rewind a little bit here. What does it mean when I say reconciled to a bank statement? It means that the bank statements and the dockets have all been ticked to make sure that the opening balance of your bank statement and the closing balance of your bank statement match. Now, this allows the accountant to know that not only is the information accurate, but it's been balanced correctly. And it gives your accountant confidence that the information and data in that file is something that they can rely on to get your taxation completed. I would also recommend that they attach or put into the file, if the accountant program has that ability, such as Xero, to be able to scan and save in a folder all the bank statements. Now this is really good for yourself because when the ATO audits you, it's quite often years before you are actually had done the work. So if you can get the bookkeeper to scan all your bank statements into separate files within Xero itself or within QuickBooks, then that is excellent, because at least then if it's 5 years away from now that you get an audit for a certain financial year, all your bank statements are going to be scanned as well as all your receipts, and everything's going to be sitting in that file so that you don't have to stress about trying to find the documentation. Now finally, once you get to the accountant, again, make sure that you're available to answer questions, because the accountant does not necessarily know you and your business, and they may need to verify things. So again, be prepared, be open to be able to answer any questions they need to ensure that you get the best return as possible from the taxation that you've paid through the year, and that if you have to pay or supplement what you've paid the ATO, at least you have confidence it's not going to be any more than what's necessary, because you've ensured that you've kept good documents. So going forward, how can you ensure that this never happens again? Well, if you've brought on a bookkeeper, they would have set up rules within your software program, and hopefully they've connected you to maybe a receipt application that you can use simply by taking photos on your phone. Now, what do I mean by that? QuickBooks Online has a really good smartphone app. So you can upload that, whether you're on iPhone, you can go to the App Store, or if you're an Android, you can go to the Play Store, and you can upload the QuickBooks Online application, and that allows you to take photographs of your receipts, put down the date, what the amount was, and maybe put a little bit of a story there if necessary, just to make sure that you remember what it was for, or maybe you align it to a class or project. So you might like to be able to allocate your receipts, that if you're a carpenter and you're over at 3 Aesop Street at Robertson, you can put all your expenses as a project or as a class under 3 Aesop Street, so that all the income you receive and all the expenses, and then you can actually print out a statement. So there's a lot of different aspects you can use, and it gives you more control, not less, when it comes to knowing how your business is performing, what jobs are working, whether you're charging people enough, or maybe you need to change your charges out. So these are the things that a software accounting program will help you with. And other applications, when I was saying a receipt application, there's things like Receipt Bank and HubDot. Now what they do is they communicate and connect with QuickBooks, MyOb, or Xero, and they work as an add-on to that program. So the bookkeeper or the accountant's able to create a whole lot of rules within this particular software that when you put the application on your phone and click on it, it's simply you just take a photograph and you press submit, and everything else is done in the background, and then it's put into Xero or QuickBooks or MyOb on your behalf already. It's all done. You don't have to worry about putting down the amount or the date or anything else. It's done in automated fashion. So that can be much cheaper than maybe having a bookkeeper. It just depends on the model of your business, whether it's going to suit. So what do these products do? Well, if you're a sole trader like my son is, who's a carpenter, he uses Receipt Bank with Xero, and these work really, really well for him. And it enables him to take a photograph, just a click of the receipt. It feeds through to the software program, which then automatically matches to the bank feed that comes through from his bank. So for him, it's a very quick way to be able to see how his business is going. And my son will then also put everything via their project or class so that he can do a little mini profit and loss to see how much money he's earned from the project, how much the money has cost him in the project, and he can see the final net profit that he's made from that particular job. And you can do this too. Another area you can go ahead is that if you've got a number of coffee shops like another client has, then you're able to designate it, if you're in QuickBooks, to a location. So like she might, is there's Mount Gravatt, then there's Holland Park, and then there's over at Stones Corner. You can actually then go ahead and specify that the staff in at Mount Gravatt have access to the Mount Gravatt side of the Receipt Bank app. And then whenever the mail comes in, they just automatically take little pictures and they designate it straight away. It's already set to the Mount Gravatt cafe. The same is when it comes to Holland Park and then again in Stones Corner. So the staff have that on the work mobile. They just take lots of photos when the mail comes in or whenever they pay any bills, and it's automatically uploaded and then connected over to QuickBooks. So these are the things that you can do as a business owner, which saves you a great deal of time. Now, she doesn't need to use me as a full-time bookkeeper. I'm just basically there to make sure that everything goes smoothly, and if she has any problems, for a small monthly fee, I will actually have a look into it for her. Now, she will do the bank reconciliation herself, she does the reporting side herself, and that works really well for her. But you might find that you don't have the time for that, and that's where a full-time bookkeeper can come in on a monthly or weekly or quarterly basis to be able to help you do this. If you have any questions from what I've just discussed, please feel welcome to contact me. You can Google My Office Books, and I'm available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and even Pinterest. And if you have any ideas about what videos you'd like me to produce in the future, please feel welcome to ask me a question and give me a suggestion. So I hope this little video today talking about how can you catch up and do work when you're years behind helps take some of the anxiety and the overwhelm out of your life by doing this process. This is Amanda talking from My Office Books, and if you want to find me, like I said, Google me. You'll find My Office Books, and I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and even Pinterest. Okay, everybody, have a great day. Bye.